Hey guys, my name is Kuliyoshi and welcome back to my 100% playthrough of Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition. Remember that thing I said where you might see me in a different game? Well, I kinda lied. I still have a Cucco to grind up, and to be fair, I've been kind of behind on my videos or whatever. So this will effectively be Cucco's Fury Part 1.1. I initially started it off as an introduction, but this will be the actual main part of the area where I use Cucco to take out all these enemies. Of course, because of all of the tricks that Cucco has, defeating these enemies, yeah, is probably not going to be easy. Obviously, just having initial attacks is not good enough for a lot of these battles. In fact, more often than not, these battles are a lot more difficult than usual. I will say right now, grinding through Cucco's Fury is going to be probably twice as difficult as grinding through Ganon's Fury, because Ganon's Fury at least had a way to infinitely stun lock them using the strong setup. Because Cucco is made as a joke character, you don't have that same setup, and that means pretty much every single giant boss can destroy you if you're not careful. Which completely forces you to change up the way you face them out. And the only way we can really do this is by just spamming this strong attack on the enemies over and over again, kind of just going around. So yeah, you're gonna see a lot of dodging simply because there's not a lot you can do. Goodness, that guy really likes charging around. That's fine, because the only thing we have to worry about is taking damage, because I feel like they actually removed a lot of the time barricades for some of the other missions. So I wouldn't be surprised if they did the same thing for here, too. But anyways, we're doing this one first because we need to do Giant Battle to unlock Survival Battle, which if you guys remember was the actual main grinding missions. Of course, the biggest thing to deal with that not a lot of people like is the Lord of the Horde that is the Manhandler. Because the Manhandler Lord of the Horde, of course, has the seed attack we have to deal with, just like the other Manhandlers, so more often than not, we just want to kill him first, because this makes it a lot easier to deal with. Thanks to my grinding, this mission's not quite as bad as it usually is. The first time I did this at much lower level, and easily lost the A rank because of that. I think this level 75 or whatever should be enough for at least the first part. As for the other parts of Cucco's Fury mode, I'm still not been made aware of how I should deal with them. Because of how annoying Goma is in this battle, more often than not, it's actually better to save your special effect or whatever on the bosses or whatever. On the giant boss that either when there's two bosses stacked together or when there's a Goma present. What I'm talking about is rather than using magic immediately aggressively to get a lot of magic power through, like we used with other characters, it's better to use magic for the magic weak point break part of the battle instead, which is more around the regular way you would deal with this. Taking out these Dark Bogas since we could take them out a lot easier. So there's like kind of a lot of mixed strategies with this. When you use the Cucco, you can pretty much shred all the heroes in a matter of minutes. It's not even that bad. But the moment you face any of the actual bosses that are captains, or I guess mainly the giant bosses, the moment you face any giant bosses, basically, it gets terrifying because Cucco cannot knock them down, nor knock them down for free like Ganon could. Nor could he necessarily stun lock them. The only way you could stun lock them, which isn't necessarily always a perfect stun lock, is by using Strat Attack over and over again, and it only works on certain ones. This makes Goma a pain in the butt to take out because Goma is absolutely brutal. So in other words, Cucco's Fury Mode is supposed to be harder. Basically harder than Ganon's Fury Mode is. It also doesn't sometimes have a lot of the time requirements that Ganon's Fury Mode did. Ganon's Fury Mode had 50-minute requirements on a lot of missions. Cucco's Fury Mode does not, which actually allows it to be done potentially even earlier on in the game. For everybody else, though, it's not actually that bad. In fact, more often than not, you kind of just want to use this attack on everything else, and the Strat Attack for the bosses. In case you're wondering what this episode's gonna be about, I'll probably just show off as much of the other stuff as I can, or rather, I want to get as many episode levels done as possible. But not just doing that, too. I also want to show off the giant boss battle. No, wait. Okay, I'm getting really confused with myself. What I meant to say is I actually want to take out the survival battle missions as soon as possible, because I found out by doing another theory that you can actually grind a lot more experience in these survival battle level missions than the other missions, and here's why. Because the survival battle level missions not only have more enemies and other stuff to take out, but they have these periodic other enemies that appear throughout the game that make it a lot more easier and more interesting to get through. But of course, more importantly, it's the dark enemies. You see multiple dividing enemies. In fact, there are multiple times where you face up to 4 dividing enemies for a total of 16 enemies altogether. The reason why there's so much for speed grinding is because currently, unless something changes, the Dark Lanas are worth the most experience to both Cucco and Ganon. So, the sooner you take them out, the better. And you could just use one of those missions to grind up your levels for a really long time, and it really helps out a lot. And also, because of the other effects, Cucco's Fury Mode is kind of mixed. It's somewhat harder to complete, but also easier to complete because you don't have to deal with any really strong enemies, or pretty much any enemy that's a hero or these elite captains you see there. Those are pretty easy to defeat. The giant bosses are much more difficult because although you can stun lock them, it's much more difficult to do so. So, some of the later battles will get a bit intense, I will say that much. But anyways, that's what I'm going to try and do. I'm going to try and do as many survival battles as I can, ideally up to survival battle level 3. Beyond that, you're not going to see me use magic a single time in this playthrough other than for the bosses, because of how trolly Goma is, you pretty much want to save your weak point smash and or magic to take out Gomas, because they're just that brutal. You do not want to deal with them at all. So, Gomas, if you have the ability to use magic on them, then you should use magic on them, like, every single time. It makes it so much easier. Of course, I've never been made aware of how many KOs we need, so the simplest way of getting through this is to probably just go to 5k, just to make sure. I forget exactly how many of these enemies we have to kill as a result of that. Unfortunately, because this is a beginner walkthrough, I don't exactly know how to do these in the fastest way possible. Out of all the bosses to take out, King Dedado is one of the medium ones to take out, because although he can't be stun locked, you can avoid his get-up attack pretty easily, and the other enemies around him don't really do much. But yeah. Now initially we could kind of just use magic wherever we want, but because of the new setup, yeah, we suddenly have to pick and choose where to use magic in these locations, which is going to make these fights more difficult. So we basically want to only use magic on Gomas if we can, because it'll make it a lot easier to take them out. Of course, just like the other survival levels, we need to make sure those our troops retreat at a proper time so that we can save their health for later when we need it. Goodness, he was stuck for quite a bit. Alright. Alright. Beyond that, that's about all we're really doing is just pecking these guys to take them out. And my main goal of this mission is to start Survival Battle Level 3 and ideally finish it along with Survival Battle Level 1 and 2. And the first two I finish, I want those to be A rank, otherwise we won't be able to start to the next mission in that series, which is what makes it really difficult. Great. Way too slow there. And of course, we have to use specials at specific times too. Specials shall only be used as panic buttons when absolutely necessary. Thankfully, Ardok is one of the bosses that we can stun lock. It's a bit tricky, as you can see, but works. Kind of just flippy of all over the place. This is one of those Gomas I was talking about. I'm gonna actually show off the strategy. I'm gonna use this. Do some decent damage to him. When he does his attack, I'm gonna use this. And that's the only way you can knock down anybody as a Cucco. And then using a special on with it allows you to get the weak point smash. Which is actually really cool to look at. Just a freaking charges into that opponent. Which is kind of cool. But anyways, that is how we take out the Gomas, because if we try and take them out normally, it'll be pretty brutal, so that is the only opponent in the game that we skip using that. Which actually showcases the magic's other properties in probably the most useful way possible. Like, instead of just doing the normal strategies, we actually show off something unique, and I like it. host keep on trying to do something, and I keep on, like, interrupting them. Sorry, fellas, but you're not going to do your big attack. Whatever it is. But yes, other than that, that's the only time you're gonna see magic in these levels. I know I kind of showed it off early in other zones, but that's because I was confident enough in my ability to do the levels decently quick that I was able to pretty much go through it very quickly. Fortunately, I do not know how many KOs I need, so I forget, but I usually grind to like 3k or 5k here. Of course, it's much harder to kill weaker enemies with Cucco due to not being able to really do much to take them out other than using this hack. Which makes it a bit of a tedious strategy to do. But it is better than nothing, I guess. Alright. The biggest thing I have to check is the timer, of course. I'll just... The reason why I'm not doing this the same way is because I want to start with what I know. Which I know from a previous battle that we need 5k KOs usually on this mission. So I'll see if it actually has the special A rank requirements or not. If it doesn't, then the mission will be much easier because then we could just do it at our own pace and not have to worry. We just need to do the damage requirement. For now, I know the damage requirement is a thing you have to do, and you also have to do the normal requirements as well. But as far as I'm aware, the damage requirement is the only requirement you need with Cucco. I like how I said that after I just said there are other requirements you need to meet as well, but really this is the only one. Alright. Okay. I actually kind of want them to begin an all-out attack, so they'll come to me. Because that allows me to group them up more easily. Now we take out Mandala. Alright. I don't really know much when it comes to requirements, but I feel like they dropped a lot of time requirements for certain areas. Because in Ganondorf's mode, you had to defeat for around 1500. Oh, hello. Oh, it's another one of these guys again. I do like to at least stun these guys once before immediately using magic, but I will use it on the step. Of course. Well, nice. We knocked down another one along with it, so we can use this special to hopefully weak point break multiple of them. Nice. Wow, so we ended up destroying like 2 of them. But using that strategy, which is actually quite unusual to do it that way, but it was nice because we conveniently got multiple of them taken out at once. Oh, now we need to, of course, get our 5k KOs. To be fair, if they did actually keep the KO requirement, it probably would be very difficult to hit this KO requirement in this mission, just given how slow he takes to defeat enemies, whereas Ganon could just use stuff like his basic combo and even charge and fist and just get it done much more easily. That's the biggest trouble I see with Cucco's. The rate at which he defeats the weaker enemies makes taking out these later missions are very difficult, if you know what I mean. Which reminds me, we should probably ignore the weaker all of the weaker enemies that are dial classes, potentially, and just go straight for the full ones, that enemies that actually matter. Looks like we can sort of infinite stagger a prison. Okay, I don't have enough time to check this. That's what I thought, okay. So unless you should have chose the prison cannot be weak point broken using that. Alright. Let's be honest, I feel like the requirements have been lifted on certain zones. If they haven't been, then I have a way to make that up in the future. Actually, with that in mind, maybe I'm just gonna risk it and assume that the timer requirements aren't required, given how slow Cucco defeats the weaker enemies, and instead focus on making sure that my damage requirement up, as well as of course, defeating enough enemies altogether. That's probably the most important thing. Make sure we do. If it is speedrun, then it'll actually be a bit easier the second time around, because we could just ignore the other requirements and just go straight for the boss. This guy just doesn't want to do anything other than belly slide, which is a bit annoying. Great, we don't have enough enemies in the area that I can see. Alright. I honestly don't know what will happen. I've never had it happen where these missions take a certain amount of time to do stuff. Because I'm still pretty new to all this. Oh, it's just KOs. Oh, alright. Well, that makes it really easy, so we don't even have to speedrun for that. So, with that in mind, I'll see you back when I get the A rank. Okay, guys, we have achieved the A rank. Now we could continue on to the next one. So I now know you only have to KO enemies, which will make these surprisingly probably the easiest of the missions to do. It's more about not dying now than it is, like, surviving. Well, actually, now I think of it, it's more about killing the enemies and surviving than it is on also having to work through, beat it in a certain time, or get the A rank. So, yeah. I just did another run of that off screen so I could go straight to a survival battle wall 2. It's a little hiccup, but it's fine, we can go over it. My only reason why I missed that, and I guess I may as well mention it before it takes too long for people, is I'm still pretty blind in this game. I haven't done much beyond the original stuff. I'm not showing you as a blind playthrough because I did do some research and find out how to do certain things, as well as how to do certain parts of it easier, which is why I know the Survival Battle Level 3 guide. So, it's for reasons like that that I am trying to use that to help myself out. So, Because I only need KOs, I can kind of do these missions a bit differently than I usually do them. Usually I try to speedrun a bit using stuff like Ganon's extra effects to make it a bit easier and do other stuff. Because Cucco does not have a timer, nor apparently a damage timer either, we're just gonna go around and destroy enough enemies to get the KO marker. 5,000 KOs is required for every marker but the last one, and 6k KOs is required, 8k KOs is required for the last mission. If that's the only requirement that we have to hit, then all we have to do is just get through that and we're fine. It's not even that hard to do anymore. But it's kind of sad because I feel like these missions are fun to do when you actually have to do the extra requirements, which makes it kind of tight. But this one, it just makes it really easy. To be fair, according to the Hyrule Warriors Wiki and a couple of other people, this is actually meant to be a joke character, which is probably why they didn't have enough time to set the requirements, or they set them away on purpose because they didn't want it to take too long. Beyond that, though, I'm basically doing the same strategy as I did for these missions when I originally did them with Ganon. Instead of using the regular effects that I usually use with Ganon, or whatever, I'm basically going through and killing all the enemies with Cucco right away. So you might see some light kills of certain bosses, but that's because I'm trying to farm as many troops as I can so I can get through this. It's kind of crazy because at first it's like, oh, you're just trying to get for the missions and have fun. This is like basically destroying a bunch of enemies in a video game, and that's all it is. But I guess it's less about that and more about survival. So I guess in a way these missions become actually more about just surviving the mission and getting the KOs rather than also having to worry about taking too much damage and other stuff. Which again makes these missions a bit easier than I expected. Will I actually be grinding this character off screen? Probably not as much, but I am doing him at least up to Survival Battle level 3 so that I can get the stuff that I need. Getting rid of one of these guys. And then trying to kill all the other tubes. I found out kind of just by doing other stuff that I need around 1,000 KOs for the first 2 waves before doing other stuff. By the end of the first wave, I want at least 1,500, ideally 2,000 KOs. I want at least 3,500k by the end of the next wave, otherwise I won't have enough, so ideally I just go for 4k. And of course I need to hit the KO requirement by the end of the last battle. Now the reason why I'm doing Survival Battle level 3 and not some other kind of Survival Battle is because the Survival Battle levels have the highest hidden level requirement set up, or hidden XP curve, where basically depending on how difficult a mission is will sometimes alter how much XP you get, and you get more XP in the Survival Battles than in anywhere else, so it's a good alternative way to level grind. It's definitely helpful. Alright. Okay. It's kind of sad that I'm not able to like throw in some more interesting, funny jokes at us, because really all this is just going around and taking out enough enemies to get the A rank, and then kind of just destroying everybody else after that. There really is nothing much else to do, because until I get the A rank requirement done, I do not want to take out the giant bosses necessarily this early. Until then, because I want to make sure I get all of the requirements before I do anything else. Of course, because of the way certain later setups work, I'll probably have to get more other grinds and other stuff. By the way, if you're wondering why I take out the Dino Boss, that respawn is why, because they actually respawn basically infinitely, but at a slow pace. So I feel like by doing that, it makes it a bit easier. Sorry if this is taking a little bit longer than usual, but because there really is no timer requirement, there's no point in not at least taking out a lot of enemies while you have the chance to do it, that is. Because not only will we gain levels a ton from this, but it'll also make the rest of the mission easier. And I think that's actually probably why they removed the time requirement, just so it wouldn't take forever. Or so it wouldn't be annoying to get the A rank. Okay, there's the all-out attack. Tells me you're ready to take out Manhandler pretty soon. Of course, the biggest thing that like makes a big difference is not having Ganon's big egg ability, better known as the Strong Attack, which just does massive damage to enemies and takes out multiple of them really quickly. One of the weaker enemies hit me, by the way. If you see damage occur for no reason when there's no Narcissus around, it's probably because one of these weaker Bobokins hit me. Given we are a bigger target still, it's still not easy to avoid everybody. Funnily enough, when you take out the enemies and they respawn using other stuff, they actually periodically disappear after a little bit. Or rather, actually, if they're charging towards you normally, they will stop charging towards you when they respawn the second time, which is a bit odd, but it's just something that we have to deal with. One thing I forgot to do is get magic on this map, but I think I might ignore it anyways. The magic tends to be kind of tight on this map. I have a lot of KOs. I should probably take out mana before this takes too long. Of course, by doing this in a specific way, this makes the final wave not be as stressful, because instead of having to kill everything in the final wave, we just have to kill a little bit of it, maybe the captains, and that's about it. I'm gonna ignore the respawned enemies. I don't want to necessarily go for all of them. I'm just taking out as many as I can right now, because the sooner I get to the KO requirement, the sooner I can finish the mission. That's simple as that. Alright. That takes care of the first part. I think I actually have enough to get up to full magic. Oh, there's our Goma that we could take out using other stuff, except I think there's too many of us this early. I'm gonna try and take out at least this one. More often than not with these other later fights against Goma and whatnot, these are often the fights where if you do not have magic, you probably just want to use special to get through them, because your special is more consistent at attacking them it can be used during animations to allow you to technically continuously damage a giant boss, despite it trying to take you out otherwise. By the way, if you do the stun lock thing just right, you'll see that Goma could actually be knocked back, stun locked, just like the other bosses, but it requires her to be in a corner, which is probably not going to happen, so... The best way to taking Goma without the weak point break is to probably just use his stun animation as a way to just special her down, since you get free opportunities to use specials, you may as well make use of them. Okay, another good dongle's in the area. I feel like I can ignore him for a bit. So I'll just take everybody else out instead. I do this a lot with the later missions. You'll probably see me do this a lot in a lot of the special missions, because it's just so much easier to do it this way than it is a different way. But again, I'm trying to get as close to 5k KOs as possible, as early as possible, because the sooner I do so, the easier it'll become. Because of how I'm ignoring the second giant boss, there will probably be some more reinforcements showing up soon. Not like we care, we'll take them all out too. Since we only have to worry about surviving, we could pretty much take as much damage as we want, and as long as we stay off of that quarter of a heart that would get us KO'd, then we'll be fine. Oh, and by the way, we have a stun lock going, kind of. Oh, it broke. That was cool though, we got a stun lock going for a little bit. I'm gonna take out at least this boss so I don't have multiple of them attacking me at the same time. Of course, pretty soon I'll also have the Dark Bogus coming in. Try and use this to make him die quicker. Oh. I didn't mean to use that one, but probably was better because the Dark Volgus just showed up. I mean, those things do tons of damage, of course. Alright, so I did as much damage as I could to the doggo, but I couldn't quite kill him. So I'll take out the summoners next. I tried to take him out before they did the fame, but kind of got stuck, and then they summoned Rally Captains anyways, so that's fine. I could just take those guys out. It's actually probably better that they summon them so I can take out extra troops. Oh, Hydruk's annoying. Let's take him out before anybody else now. Still not going for a bit. Interrupt it. I think it's time to take out the Dark Volgas now. Oh. One of them avoided my attack, and one of them used a special too. Because of the way certain effects work, it seems like the Dark Volgas we can't necessarily take out the same way we usually do. It's not a bad idea to use the Pecs early on anyways, but once they become multiplied, it's probably better to just do this instead. Alright. I got rid of the more annoying opponents. As long as we stay off a quarter of a heart, we'll be fine. Really. That's all we have to worry about. Alright, now that all Well, at least one giant boss is down. We don't have to worry about multiple impeding us at once. That dodge he does is incredibly annoying. This also has left us at a lot lower life than I wanted. Of course, that will happen in this mode. And then that did a lot of damage. Sheesh. It's not a quarter of a heart, but that is enough to keep me checked up. Suddenly, we need to be more careful. Again, if I die, I'll just have to redo this mission over again, and I don't want that to happen, so of course I need to play more careful. This is what I mean by the giant bosses are the big problem. They already do an incredible amount of damage, and then having to deal with extra stuff on that, it just makes it really annoying. This is where I feel like I should have saved this. But I do have a last-ditch magic. I could just use that to survive. Because I hate the blinking sound so much, I'll take the heart a bit early, and whatever the last one is. Though, actually, I might be better off saving the last one to get off a quarter of a heart. Yeah, that was a wake-up call for me. Now everybody's advancing towards me, which really makes this bad. If this guy would stop on the ground, maybe that would make it a bit easier to take out this jerk known as the Imprison. Alright. Took care of the some of the enemies that were chasing us. He's back on the ground again. Probably should have expected our drought to do a lot of damage, but I didn't think it would be that much. Being careless definitely cost me a lot there. Okay, that at least takes care of most of the enemies that were chasing me. Now we can get the stun lock going again. Now this is more like the waiting game all of a sudden. Because previously we had the ability to do a lot of other stuff, but without Ganon's easier abilities to stun lock, this is actually pretty difficult. Knowing me, I'm probably going to have to use the magic in the upcoming fight instead, because magic has another effect that, of course, very few people know about, and I may as well talk about it while I'm doing this. While you're in magic, you cannot be defeated, so magic can be used as a buffer to prevent yourself from dying. That in mind, we should probably save the effects just to get off a quarter of a heart. Take out this Herc while he's here, so he doesn't get in my way later. Our big thing to watch out for is when the prison does his other attack. That will do a massive area effect damage if we're caught anywhere near it. More of these guys. Just when we think they're all gone, they just keep on showing up for more. That's probably because we're just taking so long that we have more Dinoflasts appearing. Oh. That attack, man. Suddenly, the damage that we thought we were doing before is now suddenly caught up to us. Thankfully, a prison gets weak by broken automatically, as you saw. He's basically based off of percent of his health. Once he takes a certain amount of damage, he'll always be weak point broken, and despite that, we didn't even kill him, which tells me Cuckoo's just barely able to do this. Suddenly, I realized maybe doing survival battle level 3 is not the best course of action, but that's honestly fine, I don't care. The big thing I'm trying to do right now is unlock survival battle level 3. I didn't necessarily say I was gonna do it, I just want to unlock it. So, that's what this video is gonna focus on, is unlocking that. Of course, the sooner we could get to 255, the easier it'll be overall. Alright, we definitely need these heart tubes in the play. Alright, where's the Goma? I'm gonna take him out first. Hit the Goma. Goma is absolutely destructive. I'd rather not deal with this bullcrap right now. So we're gonna try and lure him over here. And then we're just gonna use magic and try and destroy him. When I get weak or get close to being weak, I'm gonna throw a magic out and see how many asses I can stun. And then use a special attack to try and get as many of them weak point broken. Alright, we're doing it. Really nothing after all of that? That's fine, I have another magic, but that's a bit scary now, because I'm gonna have to go around them and pick it up and go elsewhere. Big ones we need to take out are Goma and Arjot. And as you can see, I now am at the range where I would normally die, but because we have magic, we are actually not dead. Which is fine, because this allows us to do some damage back to them. As kind of a vengeance for them taking down our health so much. We can at least defeat Goma during this, that will help out a lot. Which is why I'm strong attacking a 10 to try and get rid of him. I'm probably gonna have to use another one of these, so I'm using this to stop them for a second. Oh, good grief. And despite all of that, the Imprison still got an attack off. Almost died, but got through it just barely. Oh my gosh, Imprison, will you stop doing your freaking slithering thing? I'm not gonna lie, that's so annoying when he does that immediately after getting up. Makes him almost very annoying to take out, but if we did a delayed charge by going all the way farther here, Arjok and Goma always make it over here before anybody else does, so we could effectively take out those bosses first. Unless Arjok's gonna kind of spin in circles and do nothing. Basically, I'm trying to separate the bosses. Okay, he finally showed up. Oh, we also have to worry about the Diafloss. I feel like some of those also did brutal attacks. So you know what? We're getting rid of them first. Screw them. These Diaflosses, they can all get destroyed. I hate them so much. For probably taking out a decent amount of health last time I fought them. So get rid of them. That one. Get rid of you. Get rid of you guys. Of course, now we have only one boss left. It's not going to be as much of a problem. But again, this is... And what you saw there is the main reason and only reason why I wanted to save magic in this. Because, again, magic, I mentioned, can serve as a buffer. I actually learned this from a completely different video altogether by watching it. I did not know it until later. That if you use magic while you're at a quarter of a heart, then you won't die while you have it. So that could have actually been used with Ganon. I could have used that with Ganon as a way to survive into some spots, but as a classic blind playthrough would, I didn't exactly know how to do that in the best way possible. Now, because Manandla has reached us, we have to go even farther away. This is a nice trick if you're trying to go for other characters, because Arjok will almost always make it over before anybody else does, so if you can bait Arjok into just going over here, then he'll start moving very fast towards you. gonna start working on the Dark Prison now. And some of the Dark Dinoclasts over here. Again, it doesn't matter how much damage we take, as long as we survive the battle, hence the name Survival Battle, I'll be fine. And then I could do a sort of death abuse strategy to gain levels later. That being said, am I gonna do the level yet? Probably not. Okay, they finally caught on to what I was doing. It's kind of odd that Arjok apparently seems to get stuck on a lot of things. Although he did do a lot of damage to me previously, it kind of seems like a dumb boss. Just gets, his AI just gets stuck on other stuff. Because normally he would be over here in like a matter of minutes. Oh, hello, prison. Well, I got rid of Arjok, so I guess I'm getting rid of him next. I can start using specials on them now to try and get them all attacked at once. But yeah, unfortunately, there's not a lot of speed to these missions, because again, you can't really do the same strategies as you could with Ganon. Which in a way makes Ganon a lot better than the Giant Cucco is, because Giant Cucco is intended to be as a joke character. Ganon still has all of his regular abilities that you might have seen in the regular game, including a very AoE special that is what I normally use here, to just completely destroy all the giant bosses. They usually don't get any chances to get up at all. And here, with Cucco, since we don't have much to do, we pretty much have to loop using specials and other stuff to slowly damage them down. Of course, if one boss gets stuck and doesn't go towards me, I could use that to my advantage to just individually target another. And yeah, I'm starting to use my specials more aggressively, or less aggressive, I guess more about trying to stop the giant bosses. That one was safety. Make sure I didn't take too much damage here. About getting tired of this. Let's knock Prison down so he doesn't damage me with that, and then kind of just take out Dodongo. I actually wanted to take out Prison first, but then they also came near me, so I can't really do that now. But I think we're almost done now. Oddly enough, and Prison can be infinite locked, though it's pretty tough to do. Sometimes it just doesn't work. Sometimes it does. It's kind of awkward. Of course, one strategy I know that works, if you wait for him to stand up and then do an attack, he'll always be knocked down afterwards. So that's the way I do that. You almost don't want to use anything other than a strong attack on your bosses, because, again, your attack doesn't even knock them down, whereas Ganon's weak attack does, which is another thing that makes it so weak. Of course, it's effective. Of course, the weak attack in its own is effectively overpowered for stun locking the weaker opponents, but to stun lock the giant bosses, you need to use this instead, which is partially what makes it take so long. But anyway, finally defeated Dark Prison. Probably took another 20 minutes, but that's fine. I don't care about clear time. We can get this done a lot quicker anyways once we do reach 255. And I'm doing this to unlock the mission that I'll be grinding on, so I can get it ready. Look at that, over 30 minutes it took. Thank goodness it's at any rate. I guess that's part of the reason why they removed it, because look at that. No way in heck I was able to do that fast enough. Oh, and I did do 99 enemies off screen, but I'll come back for that later when I have higher ranks. Until then, you're not going to see much of Cuckoo's Fury until I'm probably done with all the adventure maps, because let's be honest, I do want to get those stuff. So, leave a like if you guys enjoyed, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.